Welcome to the Sphinx Gamer Podcast, everybody!
Oh my god, is it that time again?
It's that time. It's been forever since we recorded, I feel like, and, it's glad to be back here. How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, it's a madhouse. It's a madhouse out here in Phoenix,
It was, yes.
It's always hot, and it's always cold.
I'm just glad that the Seahawk fans, they came into town, they brought their rain, it was pouring on Saturday. I was planning on buying some furniture, but I couldn't buy any furniture because it was raining, and it reminded me of the East Coast, and I had to come back home and just sit in my apartment all day Saturday. Playing some games.
You want to talk about Seahawk rain? I mean, that's Seahawk fans right there. It's been madness everywhere.
I'm glad they left, and they took their rain back with them because it's been great.
Oh gosh, if you could drive cars through an hourglass, that's pretty much what traffic has been like.
Indeed, but I'm glad that life is now slowly returning to normal here in Phoenix. The traffic was terrible over the past few days with the Phoenix Open. Tiger Woods was in town, some celebrities were in town, Katy Perry was in town, the Sharks that she had with her were in town, the Super Bowl was on Sunday, and now that's all over. We can get back to life. We can get back to gaming and our regular lives.
Oh boy, did Tiger Woods pull anything this time around? Or?
I wasn't following, but I know that he got some bogeys and stuff like that. I don't know if things went very good for him.
Oh boy. Well, maybe the football game distracted everybody.
Maybe. But were you rooting for Seahawks or Patriots?
I know very little about sports, but if I'm going to root for a team, I would root for the Patriots just out of sentimental value with my uncle.
Works for me. Yeah. I think I didn't care one way or another. Yeah. That's fine with me.
The biggest, some of the greatest memories of my uncle was, I don't remember which Super Bowl it was. It was probably like 96 or 98 or something around there. But all I can remember is my uncle just like sitting on the sofa and then every now and then jumping up and pumping his fist going, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know what that means. I'm going to play TurboGrafx 16.
I follow some of the sports, baseball and hockey really, but I didn't really care too much. But did you sell your eBay listing? You were selling your complete and rare Commander Keen collection on eBay for the Twitter followers out there and the Facebook followers and whatnot. If you were following us and liked us, we posted some stuff throughout the week. But did you sell it?
There was 10 watchers, probably one including me, and I really think that everyone just wanted to see if shit would go down. Because if shit was going to go down, it was going to go down hard. If it wasn't going to go down, it wasn't going to go down at all. So it was either going to be one extreme or the other. But we did have a lot of watchers. It was up there for a while. I think people are salivating a little bit. I think people have like this predisposition that I'm being selfish about it. And
the price was $500, right?
$500 starting bid, $3,000. Buy it now. Really, it's just insurance to make sure that it gets into the hands of somebody who will take care of it and not just boast that they have a legal copy of Commander Keen and load it into a 5 1/4-inch disc floppy drive and it burn up. And
oh yeah. So
we wouldn't want to see that, but it is an actual, real, legit, legal copy with the id sticker is still on it. So this is the Commander Keen that is owned by id and not Apogee. So Commander Keen isn't quite dead, despite what Doom 2 Secret Level told you.
And it might just make another resurrection on eBay, huh?
I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up one more time. I'll lower the price.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those watchers, I'm sure people out there are interested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are some people who are skeptical. I mean, it's like you don't know what you're buying.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like I can go to them and show them exactly what kind of condition it's in. But it really is in marvelous condition. The corners are a little beat up. And there's a little tiny brown smudge. I have no idea where it came from. But for the most part, it's just been in pristine condition. And I would love to see it go to the hands of someone noble who will take care of it, because legit copies of it are rare by licensed companies.
Yeah.
And the only way to make sure is the price, because I mean, think about it. You pay $500 for a game, nothing's going to happen to that.
Right.
You know, you have $500 into it.
Yeah.
You know, you start the bid at 99 cents, it sells for 130. You know, it's going to get on someone's shelf. It's gonna gather dust. You know, it's hey, and that's their pejorative. That's what they would like to do with it. But that's not exactly what I would like to see happen to it, because it really is a piece of history. It's a piece of gaming history that's rooted in a lot of early gamers, especially with the Amiga and DOS gamers.
Yeah.
And especially the medium, it's very rare. As a matter of fact, a few days after it was posted, I did see a couple 5 1/4-inch disc floppies of Aliens Ate My Babysitters post to eBay. Was not by the same company, so I can't vouch for the validity.
Validity?
The validity? Okay.
Yeah.
But they were asking for a $50 starting bid. So, you know, if anything, even if it doesn't sell, I think it's actually going to start this sort of, people are going to get more comfortable testing the waters with their actual copies of Aliens Ate My Babysitter, and actually establish a medium, average selling price based on condition with Aliens Ate My Babysitters, because there's very little record on the internet. I'm sure there are experts out there. I wouldn't know how to find them. But most people don't know for sure. And that's what I would like to find out. I would like to see how far that I can push the envelope, get people encourage selling it. A lot of people would really like to have a copy to complete their collection. A lot of people feel guilt for downloading illegal copies. You know, not everyone falls into the same category, and you know, different potentialities lie. Someone could purchase it and maybe get a permissions license. I don't know how that works, but from id, and say, listen, I'll sell it for you and give you a cut for everyone I sell, you know, and then
Right.
Suddenly we can buy legit copies of Aliens Ate My Babysitter. So really, this is less of a selfish act and more of a I want to share it with the people, you know, but I want to make sure it gets into the right hands.
You want to make sure someone is going to invest in the money and will actually take care of it, and not in the hands of a peasant who will just throw it in the streets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? There will be a continuation of Aliens Ate My fundraiser. Okay, I will be selling all of my big box PC games at a starting bid price at 99 cents, okay? And 10% of every box will go to Sphinx, will be contributed to the Sphinx Treasury Fund, so that we can provide much more entertainment for you, the listener, and so that we have much more access to different mediums, such as video, such as better microphones. There may be other options that we can do besides just talking in the news, whether you've heard it or you haven't heard it. So there's a lot of opportunity to be had. There are still a few other items that I have up for sale, and go ahead and check it out. DIP SAS1, and those proceeds, 10% will go to Sphinx Gamer towards new equipment. So if you support Sphinx Gamer, you know, help me get this junk off my hands, because I don't need it.
Definitely. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, you know, those things sell. If I had a good working computer, I would buy them. Or I would figure out some way to get them, definitely. But definitely there are people out there who like them.
You know, honestly, I think a lot of the things that I have for sale would look better in a picture frame. Will actually look better in a picture frame. Yeah, CDs, original Day of the Tentacle CD-ROM, original LucasArts games CD-ROMs, ones that didn't come in a bundle. whether they work or not.
Yep.
You know, you would like it hung up in your room, your man cave, your game room, whatever.
I live in a cave.
You know, like you could lean back and, you know, you could say, oh, hey, cool, you know, I got those, I'm satisfied, or, you know, you might be drowning in pussy. I don't know. These are just hypotheses.
Indeed. Well, I mean, we're going to move from the games that people have been playing in 20 years ago, and we'll move into a little more recent times, maybe. I think, you know, back then for the DOS games, you know, people had games to play and they had fun playing them. And you didn't have to deal with all this always-on connectivity, internet BS. And after the Super Bowl, I was trying to play some Destiny. I don't know if you heard about that one or not.
You know, it's actually I read an article the other day stating that there's almost no reason to go past level 20 in Destiny.
I'm working on it. Right now I'm level 14 or 15. I was trying to play to level up because I haven't gotten my fill of that game yet. I think it's it's such an addicting game for me. And I couldn't log on because you have to be connected to the internet. You have to be connected to PSN or Xbox Live, depending on which console you played on, to get into that game. And it was down. It was down on Super Bowl night. And
that's where you always have to be connected in order to play it.
You have to be connected. You know, you have to be connected to PSN, then you have to be connected to the Destiny servers, and that game would be 100% perfect in my book if it wasn't for the constant connection issues, the networking issues that I have with that game. I'm in the process of writing an article, a piece about it right now. It's just so big that I want to get my thoughts at it on the site soon. But that was something that was really a downer for me. And just this past week, I've just been upset and depressed and upset again and angry.
Don't be depressed over a video game.
No, it's just
the only acceptable time is A, when Eris died, B, opera scene in Final Fantasy VI. The only time you can cry in a video game.
I've been upset and crying about just the whole industry as a whole. You know, I'm going to move this into our doom and gloom discussion because it's just there's a lot of stuff that's going on as a lover, as someone who loves the industry and loves games and you know, appreciates the games as works of art and all the people that are involved in making them. It's never easy to hear about studios closing down and people moving out of the industry and things like that. And the latest, and multiple things that happened as a whole in the industry over the past week. But one information, something that happened was Sega, and that Sega of America decided to close, decided to lay off their staff in their San Francisco office. The word is that they're moving out of the Bay Area, and that this was them just cutting off an arm to a beast that's been around for a very, very long time.
Is this the actual, like, the Sega that we're talking about, like the game-making company Sega, or are there other little Segas in, say, Japan or Taiwan or wherever?
This is Sega of America. This is under Sega. Sega of America. You know, I think this is mostly happening under their publishing part, not so much of development studios. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have some internal development teams that are being let go in this as well. But this is Sega as we know it for here in America at least.
I suppose the potential for an American release from the different Sega companies in other countries are possible. It's quite a shame because Sega really had a wonderful, wonderful library of games that they never added on to. I mean, it's like how LucasArts is now with Star Wars. You know, it's like pump it out, pump it out, pump it out, pump it out, pump it out.
Yep.
Okay, Sega did the same thing with Sonic the Hedgehog. Pump out Sonic, pump out Sonic. Now let's make a white Sonic. Now let's make a black Sonic. Hey, now let's make a Sonic driving a rocket ship. I haven't really played the new Sonics.
Yeah, neither did I. You know, this was a result of Sega over the past decade of bad decisions, bad business decisions. Sega the Hedgehog of 06, when it was released on the 360, that terrible game. This was the beginning of the end for just this company and all the bad decisions that they made, both internally in development when trying to get Sega Sonic to the next gen into 3D. I didn't play any of the subsequent Sonic games on the Wii. What was it? Sonic and the Black Knight. There was Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations. I didn't play any of that crap
Sonic and the Black Knight.
There was a Black Knight in Sonic on the cover of one of those games. I'm pretty sure, and I said I don't think so because it was not the Sonic that I grew up with back in the 90s, and so it just was trash to me. I didn't want it.
Like, why not Sonic versus Metal Sonic? Why not a Sonic where you can play as Metal Sonic? Why not a Sonic where you play as Eggman? You know, why introduce all these new characters? It's almost like throwing a bunch of bread out into a lake and hope that you get a couple fish out of it.
I think that's probably what they were trying to do. They were trying to see what they could get out of the market, and it just didn't respond the way that they wanted it to. They didn't port Sonic, or they didn't put Sonic in the 3D in the generation of the 360 and the Wii and the PS3. They didn't do it right, or they didn't do it to what they wanted it to, and for that they suffered immensely for it. They tried to get Sonic out there. They put him in the Smash Brothers Brawl in that game, and they've thrown in some Sega stuff all over the industry here and there, sprinkled. Like, but they have Mario versus Sonic at the Olympics, which is a very it's a kids game for Nintendo, which I haven't played, but
Quick, how many of you play tennis sports games on the video game consoles? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I was a fan. I played Virtual Tennis, Virtua Fighter, which is not my fighter game of choice, but Sega had many good properties. Sega Sport games on the Dreamcast. They had NFL and they had NHL. Both were great games on the Dreamcast, in my opinion. And for either, if they couldn't outbid EA or for some other business reason, they left that piece of software behind in their business decisions moving forward, and that's a shame.
It is a darn shame, and they even had the opportunity to fix it, because even though, even though Electronic Arts bought the rights to license sports games, or rather like the use of real names and real cars.
They had their thing with Madden, at least.
Yeah, they still had their gems that they could have just pulled back that fine layer of dirt, revived it, and said, bam, like complete renaissance, complete comeback. Off the top of my head right now, Rystar. I haven't seen another game similar.
Mm-hmm.
Comic Zone. Quick, name another game where you beat the shit out of people in a giant comic book. Alicia Dragoon. Quick, name a game where you're a goddess who has 4 different monsters that shoots lightning out of its fingertips.
Yep.
Okay. Forgotten Worlds. Quick, name a game where there's a bunch of naked guys in... Well, okay, well, maybe that's my preference. Alright, but, Sega absolutely had some gems there. And if they weren't so focused on the almighty dollar, if they weren't so focused on what they felt was their cash cow, like, oh, well, Sonic is a cash cow, let's make Pink Sonic, let's make Black Sonic, let's make Crocodile Sonic, let's make Purple Sonic with a strange horn on it, and I don't know what it does, Sonic. Maybe we'll make money, who knows. I feel that if I could also contribute, I feel the same way with the Mega Man series.
Yeah.
Capcom has been borderline bankrupt numerous times, but unfortunately they're capitalizing on just specific Mega Man series. Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Battle Network. Okay, they're rehashing old Mega Man games on the NES.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're still forgetting their gems. Prime example, Mega Man Legends 3. I do not remember his name because I'm not good with Japanese names, but he said he would make Mega Man Legends 3 for $3 million. $3 million is not a lot in the gaming industry, and there's a lot of people who want Mega Man Legends 3. We want closure. It's been a long time. Capcom, $3 million is a small investment for a fan base that has been patiently quiet about it for a very long time.
I am not one of those people. I know that Capcom, they have their Street Fighter, they have Dead Rising, Dead Rising 3 was an Xbox One exclusive. I think that was something that sold well for them. I'm not too up with the Mega Man stuff, but I know, of course, that has an immense following because that's been going on. That's a series that's been going on for decades, and smart on them that they haven't messed up that series as much as Sonic and Sega. But back to Sega with their external, their teams, they're just blackballed on games. Aliens, Colonial Marines. That was developed by Gearbox, and while the blame can be shuffled onto Gearbox, partly, it's also Sega's fault as well for pushing a deadline for that game and for not following up on the development.
Wait, that was developed by the Half-Life Gearbox we're talking about.
This is Gearbox of Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
And then there was Alpha Protocol, which I liked that game. That was another publisher published by Sega. That was by Obsidian, people of they do various RPG games. Fallout New Vegas was the one that comes to my mind real quick. I played that one. But it's something that has been going on in the industry for a very long time now, and finally, I believe, unfortunately, with Sega's closing of their studio and all this, I think that there's going to be a change in decisions with how games are published and timetables for releasing these games. It's simple, really. It saves the developer time, and it saves consumers frustration and my emotions that you simply just release games when they are ready to be released.
Exactly. It's a wonderful plan.
Yeah, it's way too many times where these publishers and developers, they're on these tight schedules, they're going through and they're doing 10, 12-hour days, they're in these crunch times, they're sleeping at the office, and they're releasing these games that are just simply not ready to be released, and then they release these day one patches and online updates, which has been kind of a crutch for developers, and I hope and the shift, that we're turning a fantastic page, unfortunately, but I think it's for the better, where we're seeing these developers, rise of indies that can focus smaller teams, more focused, that they are ushering in a new age of creativity and bringing in originality and delivering that in their games, and that's fantastic.
They can set their own deadlines.
Yeah.
I've never ever heard a gamer say, "Gosh, I hope that game comes out during Christmas."
Yeah.
Because it's going to be buggy, it's going to be glitchy. You're going to have to patch it or have to get a new copy.
In fact, these publishers are dealing with an outcry of people who want games to be released. But I know that a lot of people always want the newest and the most hyped games to come out as soon as possible. But what they don't know is that you have to take your time on this. It's a work of art. It takes time to make it so that it's playable, that it's stable, that it's good, and
right. It's like World of Warcraft. Before you can kill trolls, you got to kill boars. Before you walk, or you got to crawl. You gotta be patient.
Yeah.
I suppose if we pre-order what the candy looks like and then we taste it and it's made out of salt instead of sugar, we can't really blame the candy maker now, can we?
No, you can't. And we need leaders, big companies, EA, Activision. Sega is not really that visible now as they once were years ago. Their name doesn't mean much to people who are getting into gaming nowadays. As someone like you and me who grew up in a very much when Sega was a powerhouse, when they were pushing out consoles with the Genesis and the Saturn and the Dreamcast, and they had great games, they had great titles, and now they've just kind of put that to the wayside as a software developer. But we need leaders in this industry to stand up and to change how they make games, how they release games, and how they treat this industry so that they can preserve it. And I think EA is changing. They released their earnings that it was better than what was expected. And Andrew Wilson, I may very well come to love that man. He's the CEO of EA, but his plan I don't really know for a fact, but I'm sure that he realized that EA had not such a good rap for the past few years. They released unfinished games, buggy games. SimCity wasn't good for them. The Sims 4 that just came out is not too up to snuff as well. But he said, you know what, listen, in order for us to have a very good reputation in this market, we need to release quality experiences, quality games for our consumers. And Dragon Age Inquisition, its release date was pushed back. It was delayed. Battlefield Hardline was pushed back. It was supposed to be released earlier in the holiday season last year, but that was delayed. And I played that beta shortly after E3 of last year, and it was exactly the same game as 4. And apparently other people agreed. And I haven't played the beta. Apparently the beta is going on right now for it. But I hope that they're able to that the development teams are able to spend the time that they need to in order to create these games. And this is a rant for me because it's a conversation that I've had for a very, very long time now, and it angers me. It angers me.
So simmer down. But I agree completely. I think with a prime example is the release of Duke Nukem 4. Okay, a lot of people had a lot of hype. Duke Nukem 4. Duke Nukem 3D.
It's another 90s game.
Okay, yeah, we all expected the holy grail of video games if we're going to wait 10 years.
Right.
Although in a previous episode I mentioned I really liked the Duke Nukem
Forever.
Forever, Duke Nukem Forever. I think a lot of average casual gamers, not ones who see the art for what it really is, what they were getting at, the actual art form, they're skeptical. It's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we wait for it because we waited for this game for 10 years and we think it's garbage. So if we have to wait for it for 3 months, who cares? Why don't we just get it at Christmas time? Or why don't we get it at whenever people have money, tax time? And that also reflects companies. It seems like the more money that they make, the more that they will hire yes men. Because you're getting people who just want the job. They just want the money. Case in point, it's not a video game, but the new Star Wars movies. George Lucas was surrounded by a bunch of yes men. Why? He's a millionaire. I would wipe his ass for. Well, he's probably a trillionaire or something. But I would wipe his. I would wipe his ass, right? I would sit there and say, "Oh yes, sir, you are absolutely correct. You are absolutely wonderful, right?" But let's say you're a small company. You're making Doom, okay, and you want to make money, but you don't have the financial backing. And you're going to sit there like 12 angry men going, no, doors can't slide to the left, they have to slide from the top because that's how it should be done. That's the right way of doing it. And without that motivation, I feel that is what's causing games to be released much more broken, much more buggy, much more incomplete. It's like it isn't until we release it and let the consumers tell us what's wrong with it rather than play test it ourselves, because we just have a lot of people saying, yes, this game is great, let's put it out at Christmas time, we'll make a fortune, as opposed to, we can't release it at Christmas time because level 10 isn't done yet. Right.
They release an incomplete cake and they withhold the slices from us.
Exactly.
And then they cut the slices up and then they give us plates at a time and they charge us 99 cents for these additional plates. That's another thing that has always gotten me is the DLC and the nickel and diming and it's maddening. It's maddening. And I think and it's you got to find a way to monetize your game. I understand that. The rising cost of games and stuff like that. But the game should be worth the price point. They should have enough playability to it. They should be of good quality. It should be worth it when I spend $60 at launch for a new game, or if I pre-order. I'm dropping that cash because I believe this is going to be a great game that I want to spend time and play. Not just for a couple hours or 8 hours, but I think it's going to be a worthwhile experience. That's something that's going to pull me into to that game. And unfortunately, some of them out there are not worth that price point. But some of them are, and the market is changing. It's turning into a very digital landscape. Retail, selling games at retail is on its way out, and we're coming in to a live stream and cloud gaming kind of market, and I'm in full support of that if we have the infrastructure that works. Clearly, PSN being down and you need to have 20 megabit per second internet connection. Clearly, we don't in North America. We don't have that infrastructure for that. But technology is moving at such a fast pace that the majority of the people out there can't keep up. And that's something just for them to take note of.
I completely agree. In regards to downloadable content, if you want to pay some extra money and have maybe a semi-unique visual item, so your character stands out a little bit, that's fine. But if you have to spend $20 on, say, a flying mount or some sort of special weapon that will help you beat
I
the
will
boss,
spend $2.99 for a fancy brawl for my female fighter in whatever game. Should I spend that kind of money?
Yeah, I mean, like cosmetically, but if you have to actually, if you're paying, let's say you pre-order a game, $10 at GameStop, then you got the game, but you still got to pay for the game itself. It's $60. And then, this game would be a lot easier, maybe with PvP or maybe in raids or whatever, if I spend another $20 on this sword.
Pay for play. So,
Exactly.
That's another annoying feature, but is that something that you would like? I mean, we've seen it in the Forza game and GT6, and we see it in these free-to-play MMOs, how...
It's certainly been mocked. There is a stream game... where all it does is it lists your computer specs, okay? And it's the ultimate pay-to-play game because the more you pay to upgrade your computer, the higher your score gets. So if you want the #1 slot, you better fork over the cash. But that's the game. That's all it does, is it displays your computer's statistics.
That's stupid.
It is stupid. And case in point... Let's take example, Centipede. Remember Centipede?
Of course, yeah.
I thought for the longest time that the protagonist was like a spaceship, and you had like a giant centipede coming down, attacking, and you had to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Well, decades later, come to find out that it's actually an elf with a magic wand. And, like, who would have thought? Like, okay, that round blob is an elf with a magic wand, okay? But that's what you got out of the early gameplay experience, is you created your own immersion. But as technology progressed, especially in the video game industry, there's a much larger focus on graphics in order to immerse the player into the game.
I agree.
So if the games don't look good, well, I can't believe that that's water. I can't believe I'm holding a sword. I don't feel like I'm part of this game. I can't relate to it.
Yeah.
But when you're playing Frogger and that little green frog, see, it doesn't even look like a frog, but it's hopping around. I learned that. I said, hey, that looks like a frog. It's hopping. That's me being immersed in the game.
Yeah.
I don't need a high-detailed, warded frog to hop along these high-detailed cars in order for me to feel like that I'm on the highway with this frog.
I agree, and I think that is mainstream thinking. I think that is what, the AAAs and the major companies, that's what they go for. They go for the annualized, always making the same thing that we played before, even better. I played Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag right off the heels of AC3, and I had an experience similar to that law of increasingly diminishing returns or something like that. It's an economic theory that the more you consume something, the less utility you'll get out of it. And I stepped back and I said, you know what, I've had enough of this game. It's the exact same game that I've played before. The law of diminishing returns, I believe that's what it's called now. It's coming back to me. Yeah, that Econ class. Awesome.
Diminishing returns.
Hello, Mr. Cahill. So I said, you know what, I had enough, and I had to, put that on the back burner, and that's still in my drawer right now. You could open up my drawer and there would be you'll see some games that are still wrapped up. AC Unity is one of them. I haven't played that game because guess what? I've had enough of Assassin's Creed. I've had enough of every year by year FIFA and Madden. I know people out there who love those games to death. They want to play every new year. And EA has fostered that kind of growth by continually update the game online so that you have the recent rosters and everything like that, and the recent players and the updated game and stuff like that. Look at what they did for the Super Bowl for Madden. They had they updated their rosters for that and stuff like that. I'm not into those games, but I understand that there is a market for those who want to, or at least there's a demand for people out there who want to play, the best graphics.
It's funny you say that because I've heard jokes that the new EA Sports games that comes out are just roster year, it's the same game. You're just, these are the new players of the year.
As long as you don't mock FIFA, we won't get
don't mock
hates.
FIFA.
But
speaking of FIFA, there's even a subculture of gamers who prefer it to be buggy. It's funny. The FIFA bug where I'm sure everyone's seen it, where the goalie has like these giant legs and his torso and head is like this little stick, so he's running around the goal, and it just looks hilarious.
That's
and
funny.
I think people get a kick out of that. The sad thing is, though, is I don't think it's intentional. It's like stepping on a rake. It's funny when it happens to someone else because it's an accident, but you wouldn't want it to happen to yourself. You make yourself a soccer game and it has that kind of bug, you can handle the criticism. No, I don't mean you, Robert. I mean, a generalization. You work really hard on a soccer game, and that bug appears. You're going to get criticized for it.
Well, they create the game year after year, and they get all the praise and everything that they deserve because it's well quality. Most of the time, sure, there's networking issues and the strange, bug that pops in one there and there, but I fully understand, that subculture, people who just live and breathe FIFA, because that's soccer year-round for people. So, take it for what it is. But again, these companies need to lead. They need to, scrap these production timelines and say, what, we need to limit annualization. Cut out annualization, maybe. But we need to limit it. We need to release games that are good, that are great quality, that are, we can gain that trust from consumers and really usher in a new age of gaming. Or else, this kind of crap with Sega is going to happen to many more studios where they're closing down their doors because sales wasn't good, they made bad business decisions, and they released crappy games as a result. And so people never played their stuff. So we need to fix that, or else, we're looking at some more dark times, some more bad weeks for me when I read this stuff, because it's tough. It's tough. I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts?
Actually, if I could pray to the Electronic Arts gods, because I know my prayers will not be answered.
Apparently you hate them, do you?
Well, okay, I hate them, and here's why, okay? It's because EA is golf. EA is tennis.
That's what
EA
sells.
is
and they don't have a tennis game,
hockey.
but that's what sells.
Okay, that's great. You're playing hockey as if you were watching hockey on TV. Okay, I can see how that's immersive, how that's fun. But because Electronic Arts secured pretty much all major sports licenses. Okay, let's say, for example, NFL Blitz for the Xbox. There were power meters. Players could get like special boosts. It offered a little extra gameplay. So even people who didn't really like football games, it was like, oh, this is kind of exciting because they almost have like these sort of magic powers.
Arcade style.
Yeah, you can even go back to say Techno Bowl on the NES, and Bo Jackson. He had a little. I'm pretty sure it was intentional. But he was uncatchable. No player could catch him, right? And it's those little Easter eggs. And I'm not talking about Easter eggs like big head mode, or fluorescent color mode. We've all seen that, we've all played the 100 hours in order to unlock those modes.
Right.
But it's not really that rewarding. You don't get it. You don't get the added benefit. The added benefit is now a downloadable package or a pre-order package.
And you're seeing a lot of
and
that.
Those Easter eggs aren't thoughtfully put into it anymore.
That reminds me of NBA Live, and I really enjoyed that game growing up too. I played that on the SNES back in the day.
Is that the one where you can play as Bill Clinton?
If you could, I don't remember, but I know that that was a very fun game, very arcade style. You could break the glass at the back of the basket. It was just a fun game.
Yeah, like those little satisfying things.
Yeah, so simple but yet so cool, and now you don't even see that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about realism, baby.
It is, and that's the shame. And the harder we push our technology, the more we're going to have bugs, and the more people are going to dislike the games. And that's exactly what happened to Sonic 06. That was the final cut. That was it. No, there's no blood left. Just taking what's left on the meat on the bones. And other options can be taken. Game companies, I feel personally, are too afraid to take risks these days. Because what if I have to lay off 30 people? What if I have to get rid of my gold-plated desk? I don't know.
We can't have them get rid of the gold-plated desk. I mean, it's angering though, and I don't know. I'm done with this conversation. What about you?
But yeah, if I could conclude by saying, there aren't enough gamers actually creating mainstream games in the industry. We actually have Five Nights at Freddy's 3 coming out now, and it's reignited the fan base, which is great because it was about to die there. And this is just one man. This is one man, and we have companies with supercomputers, with awesome graphics, have their own systems, exclusive rights to this and that. And what do you got? You have kids and adults alike going crazy over these animatronics that just scream in your face. That's it. That's all it is.
Indies are definitely gaining their ground, but I can't talk about it anymore.
I'm sorry. I'll call your therapist.
And we're not even done with the doom and gloom, because I wanted to touch base on the Joystiq and the Massively website closures. I know that a lot of people out there go to their sites. AOL decided to shut them down. And that's another blow to a little bit to the industry, as these are gamers just like you and me who go online, who report and write about their thoughts, and unfortunately they don't have jobs anymore. It's sad.
Now I know, because I'm very intelligent. Yes, but for the people at home who do not know, what exactly is Joystiq on AOL? Yeah.
She did ask that. But it's interesting that about that closure. That's all. And you see that some of these sites are taken are little fish that get eaten up by big fish, and then the big fish decide to poop them out, and they go away. So AOL had no use for them anymore.
In the gaming industry, AOL actually had a pretty good start. If I remember correctly, before Battle.net existed, the only way to play Warcraft 2 against other people was via AOL. So they had the right track.
You're talking about the online service?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have to type in like a keyword Warcraft 2 or something, and then it'd be like, it'd be like a sex line, $1.99 the first minute, and then 50 cents each. I mean, it was ridiculous.
That hasn't been around since years, but AOL is a company that was owned by Time Warner, and then they spun off, and then now they have a bunch of other websites, and they have a bunch of other properties. They're a competitor to Google in the advertising space, but they have their own separate issues that they've been going through ever since they they lost that online battle with America's Online. But
if I could contribute my yin is good, right? Or is it yang?
The yen?
Yang? Is yang the good one?
I don't know.
Okay, well, whichever the good one is, Usually when somebody gets laid off and a dramatic change happens in someone's life, I think that this is good for Joystiq. People will branch off and start pursuing their own independent ideas.
And that happens with the studio closures of on the publishing side too, for the game development as well. They go off, they do their own thing, they might set up their own sites, but they also might go and join other ships as well. But either way, they find jobs, they contribute to their own, in their own way to the medium, and that's all very good. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the case with John Romero when he left Apogee. That was the case with. There's going to be a lot of fans who hate me for this one, but I can't remember his name. But he worked for LucasArts, and he now made Psychonauts, which I'm sure a lot of you are masturbating furiously in your Psychonauts box, wishing it would reproduce into a second one.
I'm not one of those people. I don't really know what I masturbate to nowadays, but
whose window was I at?
I don't think it was mine. It might have been the neighbors or somebody else down the street. I hear screams. So they must have a whole lot of fun. More fun than I am.
Sounds pretty psycho-naughty if you ask me.
And I think I wanted to move on to one final case. This is Sony Online Entertainment, that they were sold. I think it was on the 2nd. So I think, was that yesterday? I forget what day. I'm lost on this completely on this entire week because this news is too much for me. But Sony sold Sony Online Entertainment. They were bought by an investment firm. This investment company, I forget their name, but they own Rhapsody and Fiverr, which I've actually used. That's an interesting service. Get something done for $5. Interesting service nonetheless. But now SOE is now a independent company. I think they're going by the name Daybreak Game Company or something like that. All their properties and their MMO games that they've made will be still under their control. They'll still be maintaining it. But things are yet to come, such as EverQuest Next and PlanetSide 2. Now there's hope that maybe we'll see an Xbox release or an expansion of these current properties to other platforms now that they're away from Sony. But what do you think? You're an SOE fan, you're EverQuest, you're living in the 90s, early 2000s all the time,
absolutely.
And EverQuest 2, and
that brings...
You have thoughts.
Yes, that brings me back. In my day, you had to stare at your spell book to get mana back.
Speaking spell.
That's right. Sony Online Entertainment, you know what? I absolutely love them to death. Their games are free to play, granted, you get a limited number of classes. There really isn't a situation where if you were to spend real cash, pay to play, it really wouldn't affect anything. I actually myself spent $20 on a Flying Nightmare just because I thought it would look cool with a High Elf Shadow Knight flying a nightmare. But Sony, despite their shortcomings, they've actually been fairly noble to their fans.
They have been somewhat.
When EverQuest started to get outdated, they listened to the fans with EverQuest 2. There were a lot of popular voice actors in it. For example, Phil Lamar, the gentleman who did Invader Zim, and I'm pretty sure even Tom Kenny of SpongeBob SquarePants voiced his name. And there was a lot of pop culture, but it didn't make you lose your suspension of disbelief. If you explored an area, you would get a story told rather than go into the ice cave and kill 3 ice giants type quest. So you could actually participate in the story, in the lore. You were almost experiencing a novel, if you will. And with EverQuest 2, you got so much variety. I mean, you could literally make a wizard that had nothing but attack on it. It would be the crappiest wizard. You'd probably get it to the end game, but it would be a very crappy wizard nonetheless. But they gave you that option. Everyone else is paying a ton of money for a flying mount. You want a flying mount? Well, hey, log on St. Patrick's Day. You get a flying carpet. Log on one day they gave a volcano carpet. So they've been really fair in that regard, and I hope that this other company that picks them up doesn't milk the franchise, but who rather takes advantage of it.
We can only hope. Does this mean that they're bringing back City of Heroes?
You know, if any game company is going to take a risk, it better be with City of Heroes, because I know there's a lot of people sitting on that one, just waiting patiently for it.
I shall continue to cry. That's what I do every night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't bother masturbating. I cry to the thought that City of Heroes is no longer with me.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, most MMORPGs, your fantasy dwarf, you carry an axe or you cast a wand or whatever, and you can kind of relate. It's like, okay, maybe I'm a bearded lady and I request one and I like to heal people. Okay, maybe that's my thing. But in City of Heroes, you had full customization. You got to feel like the hero that you wanted to be, and who can resist that? I mean, nobody's ever said, well, I don't want limits, or excuse me, no, I want limits on what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what EverQuest was like.
Yeah.
With EverQuest 2, boom, no limit. Any race could be, any class, boom. Even if it sucked, they would give you that power. And if they're going to buy this company that has all these resources, they better take a risk. And instead of milking the franchise, we've already slapped a big boot Verona V on everything. We can't do it again. They can't do it again. If they try, it's gonna be like blowing dust off of vinyls. It's not gonna work. Verona V's tits are dragging along the ground right now.
Yeah.
So now that they have the company, now that they have these resources, if they continue to listen to those who still participate, if they listen to the fans, I think that they'll go places, and especially with City of Heroes. Because there was 2 expansions before they stopped it?
They had a couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was potential there. There was a huge fan base. The fan base loved it. I never met a person who played City of Heroes who did not like it.
Yep.
They may not have had the largest fan base, but they certainly had the most noble.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, they should have just kept it. And introduce other people to it. Case in point, Second Life.
Yep.
There's way too much freedom on Second Life, and that's where the appeal comes in. Is anyone can pretty much get on there and do anything that they want, whether they should or they shouldn't, but usually they should. But with things like City of Heroes, and in my experience, Wizard 101 actually, as long as you keep inside that box, you have a wide variety of selection to pick from. You can still be the hero that you want to be. Just, they're not going to give you the option to throw dicks at somebody giving a poetry session about their dead boyfriend or whatever.
That's very interesting. I was just asking out of, just curiosity, but I knew the answer was no. So I know this new company will not be...
I mean no, yes.
Yeah. All that for no. But I believe that this new company is independent, that they are just under this investment company. So I hope that they have some autonomy in this new role. But again, wish them the best of luck, and not to destroy Leah's favorited child, EverQuest 2.
Oh goodness, no, I'll just play on some proxy hack servers, I'll be fine.
Okay, well, it's nice to know that. What else we got? Because we've been talking for a while today. I think that this was a very interesting episode for us to banter.
Gosh,
I don't think we haven't done this in ever yet. I think this is going to be interesting to listen to. But I wanted to say that I did try to do a Twitch live stream over the weekend. Finally, I have this very nice, not so peasant internet connection, so I was able to actually stream, but I think it's another computer problem, so unfortunately I apologize for those that got that freezing screen after an hour or so, but we're working on it, so maybe I'll come back and do something soon. But stay tuned to the Twitter and the Facebook and stuff like that. I'll update, in case we do that.
And then, I'm interested, and if you don't mind, if you could give our listeners a sneak peek, is the what is it? IndieCade East.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Next week I will be in New York City for IndieCade East 2015. It's a festival of independent games, game developers and fans alike who are interested in the indie scene. This is like the Sundance festival of the gaming industry. You don't go to this kind of expo if you like games. You go to this expo or to this festival if you love the industry, if you care for the future of the industry, because it's really the independents that are going to usher in a new era of creativity and new game experiences. And I'm excited to meet with all these guys and to get their story out there on the site and on our broadcast videos on YouTube and stuff like that. So look forward to that. I learned some lessons from my time in Vegas at PSX. There's something, when you go there and then you take all this footage and you have so much footage that you can't use, and then you wait till the end of the month to update that event some more. So definitely I'll be taking some Red Bull and some Adderall pills to try and update the site and get everything updated. Every thought, every post, every article, every video, I hope to have it produced and edited overnight and really get some stuff done during the weekend there. But I think this is going to be a very exciting event for Sphinx Gamer and for me, because I've never been to this convention before. Even for PSX, it was my first convention in maybe 5 or 6 years that was gaming related, and it was just a blast. It reminds me of how fun, how great it is to be around people who love games and chat with these creative developers who are creating such great experiences for us to further extend life to the medium, and it's great.
Right, to be around like-minded people who share that common track, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have a one-track mind. So I'm very anxious to see it. I may not make it myself personally. Sorry, fans.
Yeah.
But I am completely looking forward to his footage down there, and is there anything else that you would like to say?
We'll do a recording. We'll have an episode up together next week. It's gonna be tough. It's another one of those tough weeks for me with the day job, but we'll push it through and we'll get that episode up. There might be something special that happens broadcast-wise for the show or the weekend, but I can't say anything because that's still in negotiations and whatnot for that.
Oh, hey, can you hold on a second? I got a call from. I got a call from my boyfriend. Hold on a second. Let me play his voice message here. Not really.
Leah Novak is Duke's main squeeze, baby.
Oh, it's Duke
Or is it
Nukem.
Leah? I never can determine how to pronounce that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. One time there was a Leah and there was a Leia, and okay, Duke and I had fun, but. No, actually, no. That was a special guest wave from Lazy Game Reviews and his amazing Duke Nukem impression. So I just had to share that before.
I have to make sure I tweet that to him. Make sure that he heard that. But you know what? I'll also post it on the podcast thing so that they get the full audio of that. We'll do that.
Absolutely.
I'll throw that in at the end.
And LGR, your foot-controlled mouse is on its way, so I look forward to the Oddware video.
Foot control mouse.
Yes, I sent him a foot-controlled mouse. I believe it's for people who have W amputee, so it's going to be an interesting piece of Oddware that I hope he gets around to. I also sent a joystick to Ashens, and I know he likes joysticks, so maybe he'll review that too. And hey, don't forget to mention Sphinx Gamer if you do.
I don't know that last guy that you said, but that's okay. Yes, please follow us. We're on. We have forums now, so you can go and communicate and get into the community style on the site. We know that you're out there, so let us know your thoughts. iTunes, YouTube, Sphinx Gamer. We'll see you next week, folks.
And if it isn't Sphinx, it stinks.
Ooh, Leah Novak is Duke's main squeeze, baby. Or is it Leia? I never can determine how to pronounce that.